never been out yet.
This is a world exclusive. Look at this.
And
if you don't mind, I'll keep it. Can we see that's director? You can see that. Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, Mr Askham, that's just awesome. That is
She
awesome.
pins that on you.
Welcome to BB Shop Pod, and in today's episode we've got a recognisable face from the area.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Pontefract, especially the people that went to Love Lane and then Halfpenny Lane School, recognise this face. Yep. So without further ado, I just want to introduce both our guests here. So I've always called Mr Askham, but I just want full names.
Mine is Mr Peter Askham.
And yourself?
Mrs Sylvia Harley.
No problems. And they've been both a team for quite a while, but just starting with you, Mr Askham.
22 years.
22 years together. 22. Yeah. We'll move on to that in a second.
Yeah.
But Mr Askham, you've been a face in this community for many years, but we all recognise you from being the caretaker at the school. And I want to start from there, actually, because although it's not the start of your journey, I want to start from that particular place because that's where you became a mainstay and probably the closest of what we've got to royalty around here, I always say, because you're the closest anybody's been to the Queen, just because of the MBE, and well-deserved MBE. But how did you start originally at the school?
The Halfpenny Lane or the...
Love Lane.
Love Lane?
Yes.
Well, I started at Love Lane. That were in about 1972, but it wasn't just Halfpenny Lane, Love Lane. I was a caretaker at pardon? Where the girls' school was.
Right then.
I mean, it's still there. It's a supermarket now.
It's where Morrison was, yes?
Yeah, that's where I first started there. You know what I mean? And before that, where Mon Amis are, that's where I first started.
Right.
That when I first started there, the caretaker who was doing the big school, he was all off ill and everything else. So I took over the big school, and that were the girls from 11 to 16.
And how did you secure the job in the first place? Did you see an advert somewhere? Someone recommend you?
I just saw it advertised, and that, you know what I mean. So I advertised it. I went for an interview, and I got the job. There, you know what I mean?
Brilliant.
And that when Mr Lofthouse was here, I mean, that's going back some years. He was the MP round here. You know what I mean?
And that would have been what year roundabout?
Be about 72, 73.
About 1972. Did you always see it as a long-term job, or was it just a
I don't know. I got to enjoy it bit by bit. It was just temporary at first, but I got to know the children and everything else, and actually it just grew on me. Because the teachers, and they were not teachers to me, were all brothers and sisters. Even the head teacher then.
So it became like a family atmosphere for you?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because, like you say, I mean, you yourself can recognise that because you went to the school and your brother and that.
Yeah, all our family, everybody in the estate.
They've all been, you see.
We all passed through that journey.
Yeah.
And seeing you, Mr Askham, from a very young age.
Yeah.
Always happy, always willing to help.
Yep.
Making sure the work was done as well. So, you retained your position, not just down to your great personality, but you was a hard worker, Mr Askham.
Yeah. Because we had lady cleaners as well. I mean, there were about, 4 or 5 cleaners at Halfpenny Lane. But the big school I had, that were 21 cleaners and that. So you can tell a bit of, argy-bargy when we got there, because a lot of them, I used to move them about every 6 months. I used to move them about, not permanent jobs. I used to move them about different
So
jobs.
giving them different responsibilities, just making sure, keep it rotating.
Kind of same job and everything else, but moving them about so they didn't get used to doing one job at a time and that.
So talking about Love Lane School, Mr Askham, what was your typical day?
Oh, I don't know. They were all the same days to me. 5 days. You know what I mean? Everything was the same day.
So what time did you get? What time did you start? What time?
I used to open the school up about 6:30 in the morning. well, you know where that. 6:30, the lady cleaners, they were there waiting for me, and that, you know what I mean? And we carried on from there, opened the school up, make sure that the boiler was going for the fires, for heating system, and that, you know what I mean?
And I know that at the Love Lane School, it was an old boiling system, yeah?
Oh, it was an oil. I used to get so many tons of coal in about every month, by hand. You know what I mean? And yeah.
Health and safety won't allow that these days, would it?
People wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
they wouldn't do it neither. You know what I mean? Because it's all automatic now. It shoots in from a lorry straight into the cellar of the school. You know what I mean? But when I was there, you used to have to get it in by hand. You used to just tip it up, and you used to get about 20 ton coal in. And that, you know what I mean?
And that was a Monday to Friday job, pretty much all year round.
You used to be on call all the time, chance any breaks in or any leaks or anything. You know what I mean? Many times I've had to go back at night time because people's temporary broke in, and I've had to replace what the damage they did. And I used to have to wait for the police coming in and everything else to escort me into the building, knowing there might have been somebody inside the building. And that,
you know, Mr Askham, a job role like yours sometimes goes amiss. We remember teachers, we remember principals, you know, head teachers, I should say. But people generally don't remember the caretakers as much. But I think your personality stood head and shoulders above a lot of personalities. But back in the day when you did it, as you've already mentioned here, the responsibility, I mean, you was like the school owner.
Yeah, you were number one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If anything went wrong, you just come to me straight away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember many a teacher when I used to be down there.
Yeah.
Something wasn't working. It was you were the go-to
straight
guy.
Away. You were a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything went wrong. Oh, Mr Askham will see to it. He knows where it is and everything else. You know what I mean?
But you've got to have a certain worth ethic as well, because these days, you've hit the nail on the head. You couldn't get someone to take all that responsibility on. It'd be impossible. I don't think anybody would take the job role on.
A lot of people now, these caretakers, they won't accept what I did half the time. You know what I mean? I went above means sometimes, even helping the children out. A lot of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when they didn't want to go into school or anything else, I've got them, took them into school, and they've been happy as anything. You know what I mean?
But that's down to your approach, isn't it, Mr. Askham? A very approachable person.
And the winter period, that was hectic. I mean, I used to have to go a bit earlier to make sure you clean the snow off the paths to make entrance for children to go in, put salt and sand down to make a path for the children to go around into the school. And that, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And it's fair to say, Mr. Askham, you were the first one through pretty much the door and the last one to leave every single day.
Every time. You know what I mean?
And many kids have seen you, respect you. When you come in the shop, for example, even until this day, everybody, how are you, Mr. Askham? With a lot of respect. But that respect is earned, and deservedly so, Mr. Askham.
Yeah.
And to top it off, as I started this conversation, you know, the closest thing to royalty to us around these parts, that you was honoured. What year was you honoured with the MBE?
What would it be,
2007.
2007.
And how many years of service was that then as a caretaker?
Oof, I've done 37 and a half years altogether when I left. You know, from starting to finish, I did about 37 and a half years.
And how did the honour feel?
Oh, I can't explain it to you. It was fantastic. You know, I thought it were a bit of a comic or something, playing a trick on me, you know. But when we put the television on one Saturday morning, it was there, advertised. I got the award and everything else, and I still thought people were messing about with me, especially my children. I thought, what they've done here, you know what I mean? It was just one Saturday morning who broadcast on the television, and you know what I mean? It was on teletext. Then the papers got to know about it. Then,
I just got to interrupt there. When you say teletext, just for our younger viewers, That was the closest thing we had to internet, by the way, yeah? Was CFAX and teletext in terms of waiting for the page to load, etc., etc. You're going to have to just Google that for our younger viewers. But there it was on an official line of information.
On the television,
And on the day, just to run us through the day, you know, a lot of people probably don't even know what it involves, but you went down to Buckingham Palace.
Yep. I mean, when I got accepted it and everything else, the amount of people what had already putting in for it themselves, you know, there were a lot more people put in for it, but I didn't know what they were doing. You know what I mean? The head teacher kept it quiet for at least 12 months without me knowing. All the children, I didn't know nothing about it.
I don't think children could keep secrets, so it was wise not to tell them.
It just came out at blues. You know what I mean?
And when you went down to Buckingham Palace, did you just stay one night over, two nights over?
No,
what's the procedure?
Just one day.
One day. So what's the procedure? You get there early on the morning to the palace?
We went by train, didn't we?
We caught the train about 6 o'clock in the morning
from Wakefield.
Westgate, to get down to Buckingham Palace for, I think it was around 10:30 when we got there.
We got to King's Cross.
And we had to be actually in Buckingham Palace and seated for 11 o'clock.
Yeah. And do you feel a bit like royalty walking in as well? Then,
yes.
You know, I'm here, I'm a guest.
It's another world, just walking in the entrance. You know what I mean? But when you see the other people that's gone for MBEs and everything else, I mean, you're highly honoured amongst them all. You know what I mean? And
the moment your name is called and you're going to collect it, is that when realism still hits, or does it still feel like a dream?
You saw other people going up for their medals and everything else, and you kept thinking, I can't cope with this. But I was all right. I mean, when they said Mr Askham awarded to MBE, awarded for Wakefield, what I did and everything else, what was it, Wakefield? Service to Wakefield Met for services and that. Then your names get called out, and you walk towards the Our Lady. You know what I mean? You're about 20 yards, you walk, and she's there on a platform waiting for you to receive you and everything else. And as soon as I walk up, you bow down, and she asks you a lot of questions, a few questions, you know, how I got it and everything else, and what my hobbies were and what I did at school and everything else. And I was talking, you're only allowed about 2 to 3 minutes. Now I went overboard.
Not like you, Mr Askham.
No. So it were at least 5 minutes, and they had to call me a second time. And I just turned around quick. I said, I can't leave. You know what I mean? Yeah. So anyway, she gave me the medal, put it on for me, and everything else. And
have you got the medal there? Have you? Yes, yeah.
That's the medal there. Yeah. This has never been out yet.
No. You know this is a world exclusive. Look at this. And if you don't mind, I'll keep it. Can we see that's director? We can see that. Look at that. Yeah. I mean, Mr Askham, that's just awesome. That is. That is
she
awesome.
pins that on you. You know what I mean? And
that's it. We've got it there.
Yeah, that's it. You got it now.
There we go. Look at that. Aaron. Pass that back. It's very special.
She pinned that on for you, and you step backwards and go into the waiting room for other people to receive.
And then do you have a garden party after or something? Do you stop or do you go, cheers, I'm going back to Ponty now?
After the medal has been pinned on, they went into a side room. Medal was put into the box.
Yeah.
Then they came back in and sat down in the ballroom in a reserved seat.
Yeah.
While everybody else received their honours. Then we filed out of the palace, out into the courtyard, where photographs were taken, and then we left Buckingham Palace. And we went to the railway station and came home. Yeah.
She was escorted by
two Gurkhas.
She was escorted all the way down.
As you will see on the
you look at film and that, you know what I mean? Then we got invited to the garden party at Mr Blair. He was the Prime Minister then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We got invited to the garden party there. And so we went along to that one. That were a day after, wasn't it?
Yes, it was a different day.
That were a day after.
Yeah.
So went to see Mr. Blair, shook hands with him and spoke to him and everything else and had a few words, you know what I mean, and that.
But your services to the community, as we've highlighted, it's been immense, Mr. Askham.
I mean, we've been to 10 down the street, that was another place, what they told us we could go if we want to and everything else.
So something tells you, Mr. Askham, if you was down at 10 Downing Street, you might do a better job.
I think I would do. And at present, I'd take this Labour Party away and take them down the allotment.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say, I'm sure there'll be an allotment at number 10 as well, though, you see, yeah? I think you'd shift that across. That'd be definitely part.
And you know what I mean?
And just about general life then, Mr. Askham, I mean, obviously your achievements are there to be seen of what you've done.
Yeah.
After obviously your journey with the school, how did you find retirement, Mr. Askham?
I can't get used to it. You know what I mean? And I did have another job. I went to an interview job about a couple of weeks afterwards. It was an old folks' home down Carlton School, near Carlton School. It was a private one. There were about 100 application forms for it and everything else. And as soon as they saw what I did and everything, they accepted me straight up. And I did that for a few months, but
wasn't the same.
It wasn't the same. No, it were old folks, and I'm used to children running about after. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
just talk about your end of your time at Halfpenny Lane. Sorry, with then Halfpenny Lane.
Yeah.
Was that more forced upon you, Mr. Askham, or was it?
It was just because that was closing down, subsidence and that.
Yeah.
It had to be closed down.
Yeah.
So they started building.
I mean your job role. So I know they moved from that school to Halfpenny Lane.
That was in 1990. This one.
What was that? I mean, it's a private question. You don't need to answer it. Was it more of them telling you that it's time to go, or was it more that you were ready to go?
Well, you mean the retirement?
Yeah.
I had to go. I was at that age.
Right. Then.
I mean, when you got to 65, I did a year after, just to keep going. Yeah. And I didn't want to leave, but it came under Wakefield, mate. You're not covered by the insurance company because as soon as you get to 65, you're eligible to have accidents and everything else. And I thought, I've been here all these years.
Yeah. You could have done it in your sleep, Mr. Askham.
I could. I mean, I've been back down to school a couple of times to rectify things because they've had new caretakers there and they didn't know what they were doing. So they came up to me. Yeah. I mean, the children now, they still come up to me, can you mend me bicycle? Can you do this? Can you do that? You know what I mean?
So it's the red tape, really, isn't it, Mr. Askham, that stopped you continuing there. And likewise, you tried something else, it didn't quite work. And even up until now, when that's been so much of your routine for 37 years, getting out of that routine is a difficult thing to do.
It's very different. I mean, now I'm still getting up at the same time thinking, I mean, like you say, I mean, this school, I mean, I used to help children with what hadn't got a lot of clothes and everything else. I used to go into the lost property box and supplying, because children can be very naughty. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, they were calling them all names of some because they didn't have proper clothes for the uniform and everything else. And I used to go into the lost property box. I used to go in the lost property box and supply them with uniform. They were all right. And that, you know what I mean?
It's a unique school, is Love Lane, I feel. You've got all walks of life, you know, that goes to this school and then Halfpenny Lane as well. I think it was a pleasure for you to have someone like you there, Mr. Askham, that understood people from different backgrounds.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
and
I mean,
your first instinct was always to help the one that needed a bit of help.
Yeah, they needed a lot of them around this quarter.
Yeah,
and that, you know what I mean, it were all right. I mean, I used to be, you know, jack of all trades, going up on roof and, you know, mending roofs and clearing gutter out. Like I say, winter time with snow, I used to go there a bit earlier and make sure there was salt and sand down for prams to go into classroom and everything else. I mean, nowadays, they're in Wakefield Met up for them to come and do it. And I did it automatically.
Well, I think that landscape sometimes, you know, change sometimes is for the better, sometimes for the worse.
Yeah.
But when I look at what the caretaker system is now, which is almost a non-existent system, like you say, whereas people took responsibility full on, like you did, Mr. Askham, and went above and beyond. And now you have to pick the phone up to call somebody in to come and do something. It takes time.
Yeah.
I think we've probably gone backwards.
Yeah, you have gone backward. Yeah, I mean, it's like the garden. I mean, there were 2 big gardens there. The front of the school, that were a nice rose, because I planted rose trees round the border because there were 2 pupils died of cancer, and I put 2 trees in and marked the grass verge with their initials on. And that, you know, and there's still a plaque at that school now, and I used to clean it every week. And that now, you know what I mean? Even the back garden, everything else. I did all that, you see, and everything else.
But it's that family atmosphere, isn't it, Mr. Askham? You know, even from a teaching aspect, you look at the teachers, the colourful teachers we had down there.
Yeah.
And now it's almost like a clipboard system, isn't it? Yeah, a tick box system.
You know what I mean?
And if it doesn't matter how good you are at something, if it's not the way they want it to be done, then the red tape comes in its way, and they don't allow it to be like that. But I certainly find that in certain aspects we have gone backwards, and what you did was making sure that things were done right, correct, but in your own way as well.
Well, yeah, true, because if there were any insurance accidents and everything else, they came on to you straight away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Electric, I used to do so much, but I wouldn't go any further.
Yeah.
Chance anything did happen, and you'll get blamed for it.
Yeah.
But
so now, coming back onto retirement, Mr. Askham, what's your daily routine? I know I see you every single day, so I know you come to the shop every day for a newspaper.
Daily, I mean, you open all the gates up, then you go into the main entrance, knock the alarm system off, then you start... don't forget, there's the cleaners as well.
Yeah,
I mean, they helped out a lot.
Yeah.
And that, you mean, I had some good cleaners and there. Then you used to go into I used to put a plastic bag up, fill it up with toilet rolls, soap, and towels, and I used to have to go around each toilet and everything else, make sure there were plenty in for the children to be used. And that was the first thing.
Actually, Mr. Askham, before I do move on, and it is very relevant, moving from Love Lane to Halfpenny Lane, how was that transition? What was it a good transition?
Oh, it was a lot better. It was more up to date.
Yes.
A lot better. You know what I mean? I mean, the toilet rolls, what they used, they were the proper ones. Down there, there were them, what do they call them? Eisel. It was like tracing paper. You know what I mean? I mean, a lot of children, they took advantage, you know, both schools. They used to pull it out and put it into the toilet, and they used to, Then they used to block them all up. Mr. Askham, toilets blocked up. Then children, I mean, I stopped that and altered it quite a bit for a bit. I had a couple of complaints from parents because I did, at this school, I put the same toilet roll down here, and they didn't like it. But I said to them, well, if you have a word with your children, stop doing what they're doing, just pulling it out and just putting it into the toilet and doing number 9 or number 1, whatever you want.
Whatever number you want.
I says, who's got to clean it out? I says, I've got to unblock that. I've got to take it all out to make sure that it'll flush away.
So talking about Love Lane, I remember obviously you used to have like 2 entrances on each side.
Yeah.
And then the middle bit was the cloakroom. If you remember right, that's the middle. And then you had all the classrooms around the hall, didn't you? That was the junior bit.
Yeah.
In between, there was the infant school. Not infant school, the nursery, I think.
We were junior, infants were down, really down.
Infants were really down. So in between you used to have this row of like bungalows, didn't you?
Yeah. They were prefabs.
That
was prefabs.
That's right. So you used to have that. And I mean, visually, I mean, I was young. It used to look massive. And then when you go into the new house on the estate, they think it's not as big as what I thought it was.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was big enough to look after.
And your friends, who would you say? I mean, you say it was a family atmosphere, but just if you could to name 2 or 3 of the teachers you worked with.
Oh, I tell you what, a very good friend of mine. He's still knocking around. He was an head teacher. You'll probably know him, Mr Dale. That's what I mean, Mr. Dale. And I know a lot of teachers now, I mean, they've all retired. And what we do every 6 months, something like that, we all organise a night out into the pub and talk about olden times. So we still accumulate together, yeah? You know what I mean?
Good. And you're in contact. That's great.
We're still in contact.
Without naming names, though, Mr. Askham, right? Yeah. Was there any that you didn't see eye to eye? But we won't name names.
Yes, I could tell you some.
And what was the reason behind that they didn't see eye to eye?
Well, I'll give you to. It gives you to weigh what I'm going to say. You see, you know what I mean? It was the head teacher. One of them.
Okay, yes.
I'm not saying which one.
No, we can leave
Mr.
that.
Dale were okay. He was like a brother to me, Mr. Dale. We went all over the place. Yeah. Children went out, went away for Monday to Friday. I used to go with them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Football, I used to run on the line and everything else, cricket matches, everything what you mentioned. But now it seems to have all disappeared. Yeah. I mean, I did this garden down here for a couple of years. You know, the garden outside school. Yeah. I mean, I sorted it all out. I grew plants for them and everything else. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll tell you a little innocent, Mr. Dale, this were at that school. It's when it used to rain, it rained and it all came down the pipes and everything else. The pipes started about 4 inch, and time it got down to where the cloakroom was, it was 2 inch. And the power of the water, Mr. Dale will tell you this, the power of the water used to go down the drain and lift it up. Me and Mr. Dale used to have to stand on it to stop it from oozing water out. Oh, he'll tell you quite a few stories of this, you know what I mean?
It's great. It's great to hear these stories.
Yeah, I mean, there used to be a logbook. He used to fill it in every day. You know what I mean? What happened at school and the accidents and everything else, and what visitors and everything else.
Well, I remember Mr. Dale. I'll tell you my first rendezvous with Mr. Dale was at Clark Hall, you know. If you remember Clark Hall.
Oh, yeah.
So he came in. This is before he was the head teacher at the school. And he came in, he played a role of a peasant that used to come in. And the next thing I know, he was the head teacher of Halfpenny Lane School. You know, he'd gone from playing a role as a peasant to them being involved in school, and he was great. He
did that. Teacher. He could change it. I mean, say football. He was referee. Yeah, you know what I mean, and that. Yeah, I mean, teachers. They weren't teachers in them days. They were just like brother and sister to me. I mean, they used to say, "Peter, can you have a look at car? I've got a flat tire. Yeah. Oh, it won't start, Peter. Can you have a look at it?" This is what I did for them. Yeah. You know what I mean? I did a lot of things out of. What I shouldn't have done.
And now when you come in the shop every morning, Mr. Askham, you go down to your allotments, you spend a few hours down there. Yeah. So that's the routine that you've grasped now. Yeah. You always need routine in life, don't you? You need some kind of routine.
I've been down there since quite a few years back. Since 62 I started down there. You know I'm the longest one down there and the oldest one.
And just away from school, just for a second, you've been living in Pontefract how many years?
Oh, I came up here in about 1960.
Right. And where were you born then, Mr. Askham?
Down Nottingley.
Right, you've always been part of the area.
Yeah.
Not a million miles off. So 1960 here.
About 1960, yeah. I lived in Kingsmead.
Yeah. And how many children, Mr. Askham?
Well, I've got 6.
6 children.
You know, 5 boys and 1 girl.
No problems.
You know what I mean? And they're all around you.
Yeah, they are. They are. But it's just getting to know Mr. Askham, the person, as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know, very much familiar of the surroundings around here, the people around here, and just from there to now, and having that routine and doing who you are, Mr. Askham. Everybody around here who doesn't even know you as a caretaker, even if it's a face you've never seen, you're quite open to a conversation with people.
Oh yeah, I can still make a conversation go. I mean, like I said, when you go on holiday, you sit there with 2 strangers and so straight away, they're talking, where do you come from and everything. Some met friends, you know what I mean? I just can't sit there and ignore them.
And just asking you, good lady over here, how do you find Mr. Askham as well? He is just a unique individual.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean? I'll help anybody.
We have some laughs.
You know what I mean?
But Oh yes, he is. He's very much an individual.
He always asks me every single morning though if I'm going down to the allotment, and I always have an excuse not to go down.
I get the same questions, but often I end up at the allotments. And then I get jobs such as planting the seeds, growing them to seedlings, so about 2 or 3 inches. Then he'll take them to the allotments and put them in the greenhouse, grow them on a little bit more, and then plant them out, and then bring me the harvest. And also he'll bring me eggs, which I put in the incubator. I raise them into chicks, and then when they're about 3 or 4 weeks old, he'll take them down to the allotment. They'll go into the hen house, and then he'll look after them until they're producing eggs for us, and we'll start the cycle again.
I never stop.
Look, on a morning he's busy, but if everybody's got a flat tire in the afternoon, I'll make sure I put the phone number on the comments below, He'll come and sort it. He's jack of all trades. Any leaks, anything, Mr Askham will come and do it for you.
Back at car, I've got Dad's taxi.
I know that. You're always running everybody down, up and down.
That's why no car's no good to me. No. It wouldn't be. You know what I mean? No, I've enjoyed that work down there. I'd go back tomorrow. I could still do it.
Yeah, you could.
I could still do it. You know what I mean? And that, but the things just changed down there. Completely changed. I mean, when we go to vote, don't I? And I thought, where's this? Where's that? What they done? I mean, polished in the hall. That hall floor used to be polished. I used to polish it every Friday. That was that is to polish that hall. You know what I mean? I tell you what I've got as well down there. I don't remember. I have an idea what it's about. A time capsule.
Yeah.
You know about that, did they?
So they buried one, I think, many years ago, didn't they?
Yeah,
obviously,
I buried it.
You buried it, okay.
Yeah, Mr Armitage. Do you remember him?
I do, Mr. Armitage, yeah.
I see him. He was another gentleman. I went all over the place with him.
You know, Mr Askham, actually, talking about our association to school. We moved here in 1985, so we went to Love Lane, brother and my sister as well.
Yeah.
And then obviously, naturally, we were the last year, actually. My year was the last year before we moved to Halfpenny Lane. So I never went to Halfpenny Lane. My last year, I went to King's that summer.
In September. 11 years when you were 11
years. And obviously Halfpenny Lane. So our year felt as though we'd missed out on the new facilities. Yeah. But now I feel really proud that we was the last year. In a way, so it goes full circle to say that we was the last year at the old school. Yeah. But then the association of Bobby's children going to that school, my children, my sister's children now. In fact, since 1985, and we're in 2024 now, we've only had a 3 year gap of nobody going to Halfpenny Lane School, believe it or not. Yeah. And it looks like, because my sister was there for a while, and then Bobby's first daughter, when she was born, there's only a 3 year gap from her going up to King's and then Ammon starting at nursery. That was the only gap to 2024. I'm not sure if it's something to be proud of people saying you should have got a TV house, you see, that we've got the association still running, you see, But it's just been we found it a great school. And we still do. It's changed. But I feel as though it's a type of area school that leads you not just academically, but teaches you about life. Yeah. And it's just as important because you need to make sure that you associate with all walks of life to understand each other's individuals and makes you more rounded individuals. But part of my journey, Mr. Askham, was having people like you there that was leading the way of learning about life. Because when I looked up to someone like yourself, going above and beyond, but doing the right thing. You know what? Going above and beyond gives you a sense of doing the right thing. I think too many people today turn around and say, it's 9 o'clock I've started, it's 5 o'clock I've finished. And anything after that, it's like, well, I'm disassociating myself from anything. As you've put already, if there was a leak, if there was something with police or anything like that, it could have been 12 o'clock at night. Yeah. You were down there.
Especially down there. Yeah. You used to come and knock me in there. I used to be probably gone to bed and everything else. 1 or 2 o'clock, they used to ring me up. Can you come down and escort us to the school? We think there's a temporary break-in. And funny enough, they showed me a bus. They knew where things were. And that, you know what I mean?
That wasn't the reason. They were a bit scared. And they said you were going first and check it out.
Yeah. And that, you know what I mean? And I've had many happy hours down there. You know what I mean? I didn't want to, when the time came to leaving, I didn't want to go. You know what I mean? Because I was, put it this way, too active, not to retire.
So 2007 is when you finished, isn't it?
That's when I got the...
No, sorry.
2007 he got his MBE. 2008 he retired.
No problem. We're 15 years, no more, aren't we?
17 years?
17 years on.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, we lost an asset down there because he could still do it for another 10 from now.
Yeah.
So,
I could do it.
That's right.
It might be a bit new, the ways another thing what we used to have to take milk round as well for the young ones. They used to have the bottles, now they get the cartons now.
I remember those little straws, those little foil caps. It's the lovely milk there.
Dinner ladies, I got on well with them. You know what I mean? One day they used to make me a little breakfast up because they knew I'd been there all that time. And you know what I mean? And,
this is what we do at BB Shop Pod, bringing our local residents who've got some great stories, who've served the community pretty much all their lives. So I thank you, Mr Askham, for coming in. I'll put a clip up of obviously him receiving the MBE, and thank you as well.
Yeah.
And is there any message out there, Mr Askham, you'd like to give to the future generations?
Oh, I don't know what there is to do. Only just, the only thing they can do is just behave themselves, don't get into trouble. And that, you know what I mean?
And respect. Just respect.
Oh, yeah, respect. Yeah. Respect your elders as well, because a lot of them, they don't respect them.
No.
You know what I mean? And, they don't respect them at all. They just abuse it, for me. You know what I mean? For me, they should be there, national service again. Let them go back in army. And let them sort themselves out, because that's what a lot of children...
I'm going a little bit off topic, but it's very prominent to what you're mentioning there. I just feel as though people just don't know how good they've got it sometimes these days. I'm sounding like what my mum used to say to me, But every generation, as we've got... Things have got a little bit easier, but that pendulum swung in terms of respect. I felt there was a bit more fear back in the day, and fear for a good reason. That if the differentiation of doing right and wrong was a bit more clearly lined. These days, I'll give you an example. If back in that day, your day, and even my day, if we did something wrong, our parents used to say to us, "What you done wrong?" and we'd be blamed first, and they had an idea. And I think it's one place where we have gone backward, and I won't say every parent does this, but the first question we're asking these days is, why did you ever go at my son or daughter? They're asking the person who had a go at them, and not questioning that little Sarah, Billy, Richard, Rebecca could be the ones in the wrong, but some people have got it the wrong way around, thinking, that it must be the levels of authority that have got it wrong. And now we're in a position where people dare say stuff now. And frightened to say, I'm going above and beyond, and all you're trying to do is help. But the fearfulness of helping too much could lead to that red line and that red tape being crossed. So actually, you're the one in trouble, you see, So I think society's gone a little bit backwards. Imagine back in the day, Mr Askham, you going into a break-in and getting hold of somebody back in the day, and people would back you. But if that was to happen today now, in fact, you're the one that could end up in trouble.
This is it.
And that's the person that broke it.
Yeah, and that, you know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, I knew quite a few what broke into the school, and I've had a word with them afterwards. You know what I mean? It's like the allotments. They break into there, and they'll say, don't break into Mr Askham's allotment, because he knows who you all are. And it is. I do. I know that most of the people break into the allotment. They're only breaking in for something so they can, grass cutters, rotavators, so they can get it for cigarettes, So they're breaking in for. It's just where you pay £500, they'll sell it for about 50.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just a short-term game and feeding a habit. But like I say, again, though, we talk about respect and how society in some areas has gone backwards, because I think just how the system is now. I openly talk about there's a difference between good parenting and abusive parenting, Mr. Askham, and with the rules and regulations that come in, I know to protect individuals. I don't think you stop abusive parents with the system. What you do stop is good parenting, because I think discipline is part and parcel of it. I've been lucky with my children; they've all been really, really good. Actually, they're all a little bit cheeky now and again. I've got one over here.
Just say one word and they shut up. But now they just
that's what it is.
In here and out there.
And on that note, Mr. Askham, we'll shake your hand again because is that the hand you shook the hand?
Yes.
Queen's hand, right? Yeah.
And I didn't wash it for 2 or 3 days.
That's okay then. Yeah, I was going to say you haven't still washed it. I thought you were going to say that.
Did you want to see that Queen's photograph?
Oh yeah, have you got the photograph? Oh, the DVD.
Oh, this is the DVD.
It's on here, but we've got some here. It might be better for you.
No problem. So I am gonna, I'm gonna take the clip off that if you don't mind. I'll just need to have it for a couple of days. I'll pass it on to my director over here.
You know what I mean?
The computer.
And oh, I watch him anytime. I thought, is that me? Do you know what I mean? Going to see the Queen with.
Yeah.
I mean, like I've got garden thing that were top and tails and all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Looking like a film star, Mr.
Yeah.
Askham.
I did. You know what I mean? And you mean?
And there we go. Have we got that, Sims?
Can she see it? Yeah.
You can enlarge it one.
Yeah. Look at that. Oh, look at this. Oh yeah. Look at this.
And
Look at that.
Yeah.
And you know something, a lot of people have some people aren't royalists, some people are royalists, but I've got to say, there's very few people I come across that don't have a great deal of respect for what the Queen did, and how she presented.
I'll never get another one like
never like, actually, you're lucky you got it off her, kind of thing, definitely.
I mean, that day she didn't.
You got that, Sim, yeah?
I mean, 9 out of 10
Thank you.
used to wear gloves, but she had no gloves on that day, and that were another. I thought, wow, no gloves. And that, you know what I mean? And of course she's a wee one. I mean, I am very tall, but she were on a stage and I were still a bit bigger than her, you know what I mean? But her speaking with voice and all that, it were, to be, I were even closer still. Me and you now, we're close, but I were even closer still.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And right daytime, very daytime, you know what I mean? I mean, you dare squeeze, got to warn you. Before you go. If you shake hands with the Queen, make sure you just
it's a light
shake. You know what I mean? And I mean, when she put a medal on, she's speaking to you all the time and everything else. You know what I mean? Well, I had to laugh at that one when she says, what, Mr. Askham, your time's up. She controverted it. Well, I says, no, I can't. I said, talk.
Anyway, on that note, you keep on watching BB Shop Pod. We'll be bringing some great guests on. Subscribe, comment, and we'll keep on bringing superstars. Actually, when I say we keep on bringing superstars, there's not many like Mr. Askham, so it's like we ain't got any more MBEs around here. I don't think that I know of.
No, there's one, I think. That gentleman what came in last week, we were told last week, he was in army. He only got one about 4 years, but he's passed away, what I can make out. He was in shop about 4 or 5 days in, tall thing with glasses on. I didn't realise I had dead mine 17 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, brilliant. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for doing this.
Now I've got to, with children, I've got to say who's going to have it after. You know what I mean? This is another one. Man's having one daughter. You know what I mean?
Listen, it's very special anyway.